Welcome to the Illuminating Wisdom podcast. I'm your host, Marcia Narayan Weldon, and I'm a lawyer, business strategist, corporate trainer, and executive coach. Each week, I'm going to bring you my favorite entrepreneurs, thought leaders, legal professionals, and other coaches who will inspire, educate, and empower you. If you own a business or just want to enhance your personal brand, this episode is for you. I interviewed Brittany Herzberg and Crystal Waddell, hosts of the wildly popular Simple and Smart SEO podcast. SEO, or search engine optimization, can seem complex, but our guests break it down so that anyone can understand it. We talk about who needs a website and when, why SEO is important, whether you're doing a post on LinkedIn or Instagram, and how to have your content show up on page one of the search engines. Are you trying to get clients with direct messaging? We'll talk about the right and wrong way to do it. You want to learn how to use Instagram to get more business and not just more followers? Crystal and Brittany will explain. So Brittany and Crystal, I'm so happy to have you here today because you guys are going to talk about things that everybody cares about, whether you're a lawyer, a student, a wannabe influencer, a business owner. We're talking today social media, SEO, which people don't want to hear about, but they need to know about, blogging, all of these kinds of things. So before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourselves, other than what I've already said in the introduction, and how you guys became experts at what you're doing. Brittany, why don't you go first?
I will be the guinea pig. So my name is Brittany Herzberg. I'm an SEO and case study copywriter by way of massage therapy and the pandemic. Currently, I help people with anything related to like SEO strategy, case study copywriting. I have power hours if people need specific help with different pieces of copy. And at the moment, I'm newly moved to Connecticut. So yeah.
Awesome. Fantastic. And Crystal.
Well, hello, everybody. My name is Crystal Waddell. You can find me at crystalwaddell.com. And I also have an e-commerce store called collagenwood.com. And through that experience with my e-commerce store, I started helping Shopify store owners go from what I call SEO ground zero to becoming their very own SEO hero. And love being on the podcast with B and just sharing all the different stuff that we've learned about SEO. And I'm glad to be here with you. So thanks for having us.
Awesome. So let's get started. What are some of the biggest mistakes that you see people making right now when it comes to their social media presence? So listening to this podcast, you probably have some aspiring entrepreneurs, some actual business owners, some people are just sitting back and saying, I don't know. And I think social media can be really daunting. And as we're filming this in May 2023, things could be changed, later on. But as of right now, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see the business owners making? And maybe I'm assuming one mistake is not being on social media. And some people might do everything through word of mouth. But I think for some people, that's a cop-out. Like, I just get word of mouth. I don't need to be on social media. Everybody wants and needs more money. So what are the biggest mistakes people are making?
Well, I can take this one first. I think B and I have different takes on social media. And for the type of business that I have and the type of businesses that I serve, social media is not so much an avenue for selling as it is for creating a digital presence. And so from the time that I started, selling on Etsy till, now on Shopify and across Amazon and different e-commerce platforms, I've always approached social media as, a way to build a brand. And we talk about offsite SEO. That's where social media falls into, is offsite SEO. It's not your website. It's somewhere else. It's pointing back to your website. And so that's where I feel like people are making the biggest mistake with social media, is not using it to build a digital footprint for their business, because everything should point back to your website. Everything should live and die by your website, because that's the only thing you have control over. And if we were going to go a step further, it should live and die by your email list, because that's really all you have control over. But I think social media can support your overall digital strategy. But I feel like the biggest mistake is that people try to build their business on social media and don't allow social media to support their business. So I'll kick it to you.
So this is really important, because one of the things that you mentioned that people may not recognize the gravity, right? You don't own the stuff that's on social media. You put the content out there, but if Meta, otherwise known as Facebook and Instagram, decides to shut down tomorrow, what happens to your business? Or if ByteDance, otherwise known as TikTok, gets banned in the United States, what happens to your business? So you talk about the importance of email lists. the bane of my existence because it's tough to build that list. And websites. And we're going to talk in a minute about, does everybody really need a website and when do you need one? But Brittany, otherwise known as B, for those like, who's B? Otherwise known as B. What do you do? How do you differ with Crystal? Because Crystal says you have a different view on social media.
I don't actually have a different opinion on that. I totally think that we should be pointing back to websites because, like Crystal said, that's what we own. That's our presence, and it's smart because then if you're connecting your website to social media and vice versa, you're creating your digital web, or like Crystal said, your digital footprint. So I think that's really, really smart, and I totally agree with that. And something that I would add, another mistake that I see business owners making is not being specific enough. And we actually just had Erica McCauley on our show where she was talking specifically about this with your title, with your job title, your job description. And for me, the biggest example of that is once I started calling myself an SEO and case study copywriter on Instagram, I instantly had people coming to me and saying, oh, I see that you help with SEO. Oh, I see that you write case studies. What can you tell me about that? So just by being more specific with not only like your title and your description and your bio, but also in the content that you are putting out, it really helps you build your authority and become known for something.
So I see people change that stuff all the time. Sometimes somebody's the Instagram expert, then they're the Clubhouse expert, then they're this, then they're that. Does it? So I guess it really does matter because it changes, and it changes. And for those people who might say, if I change it, when I lose all my followers, if you change because let's say I'm now listening to what B said, I am now the such and such. I'm the woo-woo lawyer expert, whatever it is, right? All your followers stay the same, correct?
Oh yeah, your followers stay the same, and you might actually pick up some more followers. You may drop some followers, and that's okay. Just like it's okay to lose email followers, email subscribers. It's okay because you're going to have the more ideal, right fit, best fit people in your world.
So does everybody need a website though? You're going to have some people listening that might say, well, I don't have enough money for a website. I'm just getting my business started. Can I just start on Instagram instead? Can I just start on TikTok? Crystal, you're shaking your head.
Well, I mean, you can do all of those things, you know what I mean? But I think the problem is a lot of us, when we're starting businesses, we don't really think about the end result. You know, what do you want to accomplish? You know, so essentially if you already know like what your business model is, and you know, in order for me to get paid, I need to send an invoice, then you really don't need anything to get started. You need a PayPal account. You know, I mean, you don't need a website. You don't need social media. There's plenty of people making tons of money offline right now. But, you know, where our expertise comes in is when those businesses want to come online and build a website. So the short answer is no, you don't need a website. What you need are customers, and you need a way to bill your customers. So that's where I would start.
Great. Brittany, what do you think? What would you like to add other than what Crystal's already said?
Yeah, I was going to add, like, you need a message. You definitely need people, but you need a message. And at least when I create SEO strategies and work in SEO into the copywriting, I want to know what that message is because that helps me inform the strategy and the copywriting. So if you have a message, you can find people, you can make money, just like what Crystal said. And people are always like, what? You don't think as an SEO and case study copywriter that you need a website? No. I mean, I never want someone to feel hindered or blocked because they don't have a thing. I'm always about like the minimum viable product and starting where you're at and growing from there.
So first of all, I love how you just snuck in again. You don't need as an SEO case study copywriter. You could have just said, don't you need X? But I see how you snuck that in. Very smart, which I think is also a good thing, right? Repeating who you are so that it starts to get like, now I'm like, oh, B, the SEO case study copywriter, right? Now I'm going to hear it. I'm going to think about it all the time. And I don't think we realize how we're always selling. We're always marketing. We're always branding. And many people don't think about that. So we've talked about SEO in terms of naming it. What is it? Why do we care? And what are the different types?
Okay, so I love this definition that I just
and
heard
break it
recently.
down like a fourth grader, Okay.
Okay. Well, this to me just really blew it out of the water. Okay. First, my dad said SEO is like yellow pages on steroids. So that's my first great definition of SEO. It's like the yellow pages of today,
which is helpful for
steroids.
the 40 and over people. People like my son, like, I don't know what you mean by yellow pages. I can't relate. Okay, go ahead.
Yes. And for the people who are wondering where exactly SEO fits in my ability to make money as a business owner, SEO is one way to get sales from search engines. So that's essentially what SEO does for your business.
So do we need to have SEO? Do we need to think about SEO all the time? So somebody does an Instagram post, or they do a LinkedIn post, or they do, because obviously we think about SEO, we think about it in websites, but do we have to think about it in the context of just social media posts?
I love this question, so I'll take this one. I just got asked this question last week in an SEO presentation, and all of the attendees were like, same thing. Do I need to think about this elsewhere? It's smart to, and that's why I come back to the messaging. If you are and intention. So everything I do is like, what's the intention? What's the connection? If you can focus on that, and like you were just saying, be repetitive, which I used to shy away from, being repetitive, having an intention behind your messaging, and saying that in different ways in different places, you're doing the right thing. Because just like what you said a few minutes ago, people are going to start to click and connect with like, oh, if this is being said, this is this person. Oh, if I need this, I can go seek out so and so. So yeah, that's always be thinking about it. And it's not something that you really have to put a lot of brain power behind once you figure out your messaging, and once you kind of think through your, even if it's like a very high level strategy, it just naturally falls into place for you.
Got it. So we've now got the definition of SEO. You all do SEO audits. What are you looking for at people's websites or their blogs when you're looking to see if it's optimized SEO? And SEO, search engine optimization, just to be clear, because I think we haven't really actually
Yes.
said it out loud, but what does it
Yeah.
mean and what do you guys look for?
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, we haven't actually, defined the acronym of SEO. So thank you for doing that. Search engine optimization. And there's two things that B says that I love. One is that if you don't have an SEO strategy, an SEO strategy will be created for you based on what you create. So when she said that, I just laughed because it's so true. Whether you want it or not, the words that you put out there are going to talk to people, and that's how they're going to see you. The other thing she says is that, the O in SEO stands for optimization. So it's something that you're, constantly going back to improve. So you're just constantly going back to improve. Now, to answer your question specifically about audits, the number one error or the number one red flag that pops up whenever I do an audit, it has been consistent across like 99% of the audits that I've done, is low word count. And essentially what this means is that you don't have enough information on the page to tell a search engine what it's about. And so again, that whole idea of like, what is the intention of this page? What's the purpose of this page? What's the job of this page? If you look at your website and say every single page, or even your Instagram profiles, your social media profiles, whatever, every post you make, what is the job of this post? What is the job of this page? Give it a keyword job. So if there's something that you want to be known for, there is a word that describes that thing that you want to be known for. There are also variations of that word that also describe what you want to be known for. And you can then take those words and assign them to different pages on your website, and then build that out so that way you can train Google to understand what your business is about and what you do, how you help people.
So let's rewind a little bit. So just to be really big picture, I type in my search, and the things that come up on the first page of Google or Bing or whatever search engine I use are because that search engine is searching everything, literally, and looking for the right words and the right places. So to end up on the front page of Google, I have to know what those words are. So how do I decide what words to use? Do I just go and say, what are the best words for, abstract art collector? I literally just made that up. Okay. How do I do that? How do I know the right words?
Yeah. So one thing that I love doing with when I'm creating SEO packets, or even helping someone with SEO copywriting, I will sit down and pretend I'll put my client hat on, and I'm like, okay, if I'm this person and I want to have this other person show up as the answer, what do I need to type in? And, a good example of this is I have a friend, you'll appreciate this. I have a friend who's an Akashic Records reader. She's trying to figure out what to say, because she's like, do my people actually know what that means? Are they coming to me for this? Are they coming to me for this other problem? So one thing that I said to her, I was like, put your client hat on, sit down for like 10 minutes, just write out different, problems that people have said to you, things that they've said when they initially found you, whatever, write all of that out. And then, stop that timer and go to Google, type those things in. And one thing that Crystal is really great about talking about is search intent. So when you type those words in, look through that page. Search intent, all that means is, if I ended up on this page, would I be answering the question for the person that's actually looking at this? Crystal can do a better job explaining it. But if you land on that page, is that where you want to end up? Is that where your ideal clients are? Are these the types of searches that they're going to be doing? And once you do that for, I've gotten it down to where I can do this in about 15 to 20 minutes for one page. But at the beginning, it took me like 45 minutes, an hour. I didn't know what I was doing. So give yourself some time to figure it out, and know that as you continue this journey and as you continue these searches and creating these strategies, it'll get faster, it'll get easier, it'll become second nature for you.
Okay. Crystal, do you want to add anything to that?
Oh my gosh. Yes. No. I love keywords and keyword research is like my thing. Like I could just, fall into a bucket of words and swim around forever and I would be happy. That's my happy spot. So I want to touch just really quickly on search intent. So, sometimes people are just looking for information. They don't even know what they're looking for. They just might think, I have something coming up, like maybe a trip coming up, and, where are some places to visit? Or maybe I don't know what to pack, so they're just looking for information that's going to help them have an amazing trip, so their end of search will, be a place that they probably never even knew existed when they began their search. Okay. So that's kind of like your beginning person, that top of funnel or whatever. But as people get closer and closer to making a buying decision or making a decision to work with someone, they are going to get more specific with their words. One thing that's going to happen is they're probably going to have multiple words, whereas, you might have vacation as just like, ideas for vacation. You're going to start to specify, a country, a city, an
That's
area
literally
of
what
a
I'm doing
city.
right now. I
Really?
started off with what are good day trips from Paris that are not in France, and then I got, well, maybe best places to go in Luxembourg. So I started getting more and more specific. So that's literally what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah.
I
So it's
understand
fun.
this. I get it.
Yeah. So that's how search works. And a lot of times I think SEO as an acronym is scary, but I mean, like think about our own search patterns, how you just were able to identify and make that connection to your own life. That's what our customers are doing. And so the second part of that, I would say, is just being aware of the words that they use, because it's not just industry jargon that confuses people. It's the definitions that we attach to words based on our perspective and our experience. And I'll give you an example from my own e-commerce shop. I make these giant photo collages for people. And collage is a very natural word for me. It's not a natural word for anybody else on the internet. So what people
and by the way, what's the name of your business?
It's collageandwood.com.
Look at Marcia.
But yet
She's already
collage, but yet collage is not. I think it's a natural word, but apparently it's not. And how do you know?
Yeah.
Like, so you just said, so you think it's natural? Like, doesn't everybody know that word? But how do you know the words that everybody knows?
Well, the thing is, once I started doing some research on, the types of collages that I do, the sports collages, people were actually typing in things like pictures on wood, or they were typing in the problem that they were trying to solve, which is a gift for a senior, and so that's when you start to understand, oh, that's how my client is thinking. They're not thinking of it the same way I'm thinking of it because they're trying to solve a problem. So if you can identify those words that solve the problem, then you are going to be your very own SEO hero.
Now, are there some sources? I've heard some people say, well, go on a Reddit search or look for these other kinds of things. Are there some sources that you would recommend that our listeners, if they're trying to figure out, all right, I thought this was the obvious question, but that's because I'm so close to it that's the question that I think people should ask. How do you find sources to be able to know what are my customers really thinking about? Short of just going up and saying, what are you thinking about? What are your problems? What are your pain points? Because I think I think content creators talk in the terms of pain points, but regular people don't, right? So how do you even know where to find what those questions are?
Oh, I could start this one off, B, and I'll try to keep it short. But we had a friend of B's on our podcast, and her name is Susan Rioch. And she told us about this book called Jobs to Be Done. And I
Hmm.
thought, I have been consuming everything about Jobs to Be Done for a few weeks now. It aligns with like UX design and all that type of stuff that I'm also interested in.
UX meaning user experience.
User experience. Yes, exactly. Because that's
Okay.
like down the rabbit hole of SEO. Oh, well, there just went my water. Sorry. See how excited I get? But anyway, what he talks about is instead of guessing what your client wants, or going and asking them about their feelings and grouping people by demographics, group them by the job that they want done. Group them by the
Ah.
solution they are searching for. And it's like, oh my gosh, I mean, that is true innovation, right? Because,
Mm-hmm.
and if you're trying to solve a problem, you know what the problem is, so let's just solve the problem and then see if that can, fit into our customers' lives as a solution. So I love that so much.
That's a
So,
good one.
Brittany, what are you going to add to that?
I was going to add, I mean, you mentioned the answer that I have, which is always going to be go talk to your people, go ask them. And something that I realize that I'm naturally good at is I'm listening between the lines, meaning someone will say something, but I'm over here like, okay, is that a problem? Is that a pain point? Is that a desire? Is that the transformation they want? These are all the thoughts that are going on in my head.
Wait,
And
slow down and say those again, because I think that's really important, because you're like, because that's the thought process, but I don't think people think that way. So do you mind
that's
just
a good
breaking
point.
those down again, please?
Sure,
Thanks.
yeah. And I don't remember exactly what I said, but what problem am I having? What
You're back on mute, Brittany. You're back on mute. There you go.
There we
You
go.
cut out for a
So,
minute.
I don't know why that happened.
yeah.
I don't remember the
So,
exact questions, but I think it was, what problem am I having? What pain am I having? What is the desire I want? What is the transformation or the after that I want? So you want to be asking your clients and customers those things. You can also just listen for them in your natural conversation with them. Something that I love doing, and that's a really low hanging fruit, is paying attention to what they're putting in your DMs, in your emails, in your, it could be something like a survey. You could ask them these things in a more formal way and get those answers that you're looking for, but you can also be crafty and a little bit sleuthy about it and just paying attention. So that's one thing you can do, is just ask your people. Also pay attention to what else is happening on that Google results page, namely the people also ask or people also search for section. That can be a really great hiding spot for other questions.
I didn't even know about that. People also search for.
I think it's
Look
called
at
people
that.
also search for. It's at the top of the page typically. You'll have like your search bar, the ads section,
Okay,
and then
I know
the
what you're talking
section
about.
that says people also search for.
That part. Okay. Got it. Now, you talked about what they say in the DMs. Now, some people might think that DMs are kind of icky and gross, right? So, for anybody listening, if you ever try to reach out to me and I don't know you through LinkedIn and try to sell me something I don't need, I will not even bother respond to you. So, but people use DMs, and that's direct messages, all the time for selling. And what's the right way to do this? And what's the wrong way to do this? Because I'm sure there's a right way. I've just never seen it. So
Can I
please
please take
let me
this
know.
one?
Please do.
This is
Please
Yeah,
do.
something
because
very,
I'm not a
very
Because
much.
fan.
because this is something because this is something, so think about it. So a lot of my listeners might be lawyers, and I'm like, this is unseemly, or new business owners, because a lot of times my platform of choice is LinkedIn, and we're always getting spammed with stuff. So we think like there's no good way to do this. But some of my, people that are listening might be trying to start new businesses, etc. So how do they do this right without kind of tainting their reputation as some super spammy, icky DMer?
Okay, I am so not a fan of cold DMs. I will delete you
Okay.
immediately. I will not respond to them. Why I'm nodding and smiling and getting all excited is because I see DMs as where you close a sale. That is what has happened for me. It is, if you want to think of it like this, a long-term play. I will talk about,
Mm-hmm.
I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm trying to be on LinkedIn more. But what I do is
Mm-hmm.
I will make a post people will often come to message me. They will come to my DMs and we will have a conversation. And most of the time, those close in a sale or in me helping them some way, shape, or form, sending them to our podcast, sending them to another post that I have, sending them to a freebie, or actually delivering on a service that I have. So don't be icky. Don't be gross. Please don't do that. I will delete you. Most people will delete you. Sometimes it works,
Right.
but it's not going to work for, I don't think, any of us here. But yeah, I see it more as like a long-term thing and just a place to build relationships and have conversations.
I love
And
it. So use it to close as opposed to just start reaching out and say, hey, need your SEO redone? I'm here for you. Crystal, what do you want to add?
well, I wanted to add because B, came in at the bottom of the funnel to close. And I'm like, that's a great idea. But some actionable top of funnel things you can do when you're actually just
I'm
trying
going
to
to stop
get...
you before. I'm going to stop you before because again,
Okay.
some people may not even know what you're talking about with the funnel. What do you mean, like a
Okay.
funnel cake? What are you talking about? So let's first
Okay.
define funnel and then kind of talk about it there. So sorry to break your train of thought, but I want to make sure people can follow along. That's the
no
professor in
problem.
me. I always got to break it down.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So a funnel essentially is just, or what we're talking about is stages of awareness that people might have of you. So at the top of the funnel, they don't know who you are. They're like coming into your world, just like an oil, like if you get your oil change and you put oil into a funnel and it goes into the engine, people are coming into the top. They have no idea who you are. But as they get to know you better, they're more likely to buy from you. That's the whole idea of a funnel. You want to, get to know them and let them get to know you and just, build a relationship with them and then close a sale. That's essentially a sales funnel in my opinion. But with Instagram, especially, one of the best ways to kind of, help that awareness relationship is by just responding to people's stories, because that's the most natural way to get into somebody's DMs, at least on Instagram. And I have really loved doing this because tell me, honestly, when someone responds to your stories or hearts it or whatever, what's your first response?
Who is
I
this
love it.
person?
Yeah,
You go look at
right?
them.
I'm just like, oh, cool, a new friend. I'm the
Yes.
weirdo, though.
Yeah. So, but I'm like, yeah, exactly. Who is this person? So then you go to their profile and you check them out, and maybe a natural conversation starts, but that is a non-icky way to go into the DMs and to just support people. I mean, if there's somebody that you think that you might want to do business with in the future, take the time to support them and get to know them, because maybe you'll find out they're not actually somebody that I could help, but you might also find out this is exactly who I want to help. And they will appreciate the support. Everybody appreciates the support.
Excellent. So we talked about Instagram, and a lot of people who are on Instagram sit there and they get concerned that the algorithms are going to change. So what's the algorithm? What is an algorithm? Should we care about the algorithms? And I'm going to ask you for each platform to the extent that you have any kinds of tips. So let's start with Instagram. For the people who are on Instagram or people who may not be on there yet, but are thinking maybe I'll use it. How do you use Instagram to build your personal and your professional brand? And what are some of the things that people are doing really well? And what are people not doing so well from what you all can see?
So Instagram is a place that I love hanging out. I know, and Crystal's going to want Pinterest for sure. So Instagram is a place I love hanging out. What has worked really well for me to build my business, my brand, my awareness of who I am and how I can help people is to create content based on questions that people are actually asking me. Step one, I just want that to land. Actually create content around questions that people are asking you. Also be aware, are these people coming in a place in the awareness journey? Are they aware enough of who you are, how you help people? Like, are they coming in at the point where you would want them to? Meaning, are they just curious? Are they poking around online? Are they getting information? Are they learning about what an SEO copywriter is? Or do they have a project and they're actually vetting people online on social media to see, like, I want Brittany, I want to work with her. So that is something to consider when you're thinking about which questions to actually answer. But making sure your bio actually says what you do and you're being clear and not like airy fairy. That's not going to help anybody, least of all
Okay,
you.
so give an example of an airy fairy versus a good one, because some people are like, oh, I'm super precise, and they are the airy fairy thing you're talking about. So
right.
if you can just make something up.
I'm so bad with on the fly examples. However, let's try this. Okay, if you just say like, I am a course creator who helps people live their best life. who are you helping? What are these courses? What is the actual thing that someone will walk away with this course being able to do? Or what have they learned? Or what do they know now? Is that a good example? I'm terrible with on the
That's a
fly.
great example.
Okay, cool.
Great example. So now I gotta let me go back and look at my Instagram thing. What did you say? Is she
Yeah.
reading from
And
mine? I
then,
don't know.
right. And to your point, Crystal's constantly, we're always going back to our bios. We're always thinking of how we can tighten it up, make it more clear. If there's an event coming up that we're doing, we're going to post about it and link to it. So these things are living, breathing, changing, ebbing and flowing things. Like, it's okay. It's going to have its own life. Other things that people can do. So we talked about creating content on Instagram, talked about the bio. Something else that they can do that I was thinking of with your last comment, when you go and leave comments, really anywhere, but especially on Instagram, use keywords. Not only am I smart enough, which you caught earlier, to say SEO and case study copywriter like 1,000 times, I'm also, when I'm leaving comments, sneaking in SEO, talking about case study, talking about social proof, talking about story. Those are all the things that I want people to come find me for. So use the keywords that tie back to you, who you help and what you do. And that's going to be an even better thing that you can do for your brand awareness, for building your business and building your authority.
Great. Anything else you want to add on Instagram that people are either doing well or not well? And how many times a day do you have to post? Some people might say, some people post like it's a full-time job. Do I have to post once a week? I know people say just be consistent, but what does that really mean? Any thoughts on that? Just
For
post
me or
whenever you feel like
Crystal?
it.
For me?
Yeah, for you, before we go to
Okay.
Crystal.
I don't think that you have to stick to any posting schedule. I think that it's more important to focus on the quality of what you're putting out rather than the quantity of what you're putting out. So do whatever works for you. I might post 5 times one week and 2 or 0 the next week. Don't worry about that. Just focus on the quality over the quantity of what you're putting out.
Great. And last question on the Instagram before we get to Crystal. And I know, Crystal, you're the Pinterest expert, so we're going to come to you on that. But when it comes to things like stories versus reels versus carousels versus this versus that, any suggestions that you have on that? And then again, how do we get SEO? How do we think about SEO even when we're doing a quick story? Is it a matter that you're going to have keywords in the caption, or do you actually want us to think and speak in SEO language without saying, here's my SEO word, hashtag, such as, how do you want us to do that?
Yeah, that's a great thing. And I have a good answer for this. So I'll answer your second question first. So when it comes to actually what you're saying, yes, include the keywords. Be clear, use your message. If you have phrases like I do, I say that SEO is how you show up as the answer to a Googled question. People know that now. I got a message just a couple days ago from someone who was on our show, and she was like, dang it, I can't use that because you used it, but it's in my head and clearly it's working because I think
And say it again. Say it again so people hear it.
SEO, search engine optimization, is how you show up as the answer to a Googled question. That is why we want to think of the questions that people are typing in. So that is what I want you to put in your caption, in your comments. I want you to say it so that the captions pick it up, things like that. Titles for things, all of that goodness. Even your hashtags, it does apply to hashtags. I got that question last week too. And then when we think about like how to use stories, reels, and carousels, I'm going to keep it really simple. Stories, think of what's happening in your daily life that you can tie back into your work, tie back into getting people to know you, like you, and trust you. Because once those things happen, you have the higher likelihood of someone's going to buy from you or work with you. So if I think of an example, maybe I'm going on a walk, and I know that you go on lots of walks and you have really good videos with all of your stuff, Marcia. So maybe I'm going on a walk and I have this thought like, oh goodness, I passed this flower stand and I want to tell this flower grower how they can improve their SEO and let me share it with everyone on my follower list. I could then record a video for a story, say something about SEO, talk about the flower grower who's in my neighborhood, whatever. That's one thing I could do with stories. And that's typically going to help you the most with people who are already in your world. That's not really going to get you new followers. Same thing with carousel posts. I heard someone say, and I wish I could think of who it was so I could give them the attribution that they deserve, but carousel posts are great for people who are already in your world. Those are the people that you want to drive home certain concepts. Those are the people that you want to expand on more of like what you do and how you can help them. Reels are going to give you the reach. Reels are going to get the new people in your world. So reels, you want to be thinking about what are some really fun ways that you could get people into your space, get people to follow you, get them to go download your freebie, get them to listen to your podcast, those kinds of things. So reels are going to be for the reach, carousel posts and stories for the people that are already in your world.
Excellent. So, Crystal, I want to talk to you about Pinterest, but is there anything you want to add on about Instagram that is different than what B said, or that might even contradict what B said?
Well, when I approach Instagram is more of a support network for me. I don't go there to sell, I don't go there to buy for sure.
Mm.
But I do go there to
Although some
network.
people might, and there's nothing wrong with
Yes.
that. Okay, but go
Yes.
ahead.
Yeah. So just as this is like a contrast to how I use it differently. But it's because, I have a business Instagram for my e-commerce store. And what I was
Mhm.
missing was interaction with other business owners. And so
Mm.
Instagram inspires me. Like I watch your stories and I see you traveling around the
I've never
world.
done a story. I've only done reels. 'Cause I'm like, so like I've never done a story. I'll start doing them, but I only do reels. I'm in
Yeah.
other people's stories, but thank you.
Okay. Well, whatever I see you doing on Instagram, whatever format it's in, I just love seeing it.
Mhm.
I love going on your journeys
Aw.
with you. I'm in Hawaii today. I just went on a helicopter with Marcia.
Mm.
There's just all of these fun things that you get to experience with other people that you respect, and I found business in particular to be very lonely. And so when I started using Instagram more as a networking tool versus a selling tool,
Mm.
I found community.
Mm.
I found
Right.
other business owners sharing ideas. And that's what I love to do. I love to share ideas. And that's what I love the most about Instagram.
But Pinterest is your jam. And most people don't realize that Pinterest really is a search engine. And people think,
Yeah.
oh, that's where I'm going to go if I'm looking for my new wedding dress, which is what I did, right? Or I'm looking for vacation ideas or cookbook ideas or personal fitness stuff. But why is Pinterest so important? And why are so many people sleeping on the importance of Pinterest? And then what should people be thinking about? Because again, even though we say we don't care about the algorithms, it makes a difference. And I know Pinterest actually comes out every year with this is what we're doing. This is what people like look at it like it's the drop of a Beyonce album. So what is it? People in your world, right? Like
Yeah.
I see you guys getting all excited, like it's a new thing. Like, okay, just tell me what it says. So
Right.
why is Pinterest so important? And if somebody's never done anything on Pinterest and is a business owner, because I think a lot of people go on Pinterest because it'll just show up on your search, right? And they look for ideas. I'm trying to get a new tattoo. What should it look like? Or how do I do this? But why should business owners be on Pinterest? And when they start, I know because you've helped me with this and I never did anything with it, so I have to call you back and rehire you. But you gave me a whole list of keywords. It's like a beautiful spreadsheet of keywords. Like it was like the keyword Bible. So talk about Pinterest for us.
Okay. Well, Pinterest, honestly, over the last few years, ever since 2020, it's had a bit of an identity crisis. I think Pinterest
Mm-hmm.
isn't exactly sure what Pinterest wants to be, but Pinterest is a search engine at its core. And it's a visual search engine, which means that people, if you like something or you're looking at something on Pinterest, Pinterest is going to show you more of that thing. And so for e-commerce, especially, this is really, really powerful because if I sell wooden letters and someone is looking for a wooden letter, Pinterest is going to say, oh, let me show you more wooden letters. And if I have a lot of pins about wooden letters, you're going to see more of my merchandise or the things that I sell.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really great with Pinterest. And Pinterest is a place where people go for ideas and for inspiration. So, just like we were speaking earlier about your own search pattern as you're looking to go on vacation or, looking for ideas around France, people do the same thing on Pinterest. They're not exactly sure what specific thing they want, but they know when they see it, that's it.
Yes.
And I've heard that from
Yes,
my
that's exactly right.
customers so many times. They said, I was searching for something for my boyfriend, or I was searching for something for my son or my daughter. And I saw, what you had made. And I said, that's it, and here they come. So, really putting yourself out there. If you are a business to consumer product, Pinterest is a great place Now, business to
Now, do you mean
business,
mainly
or
for
go ahead.
before you go on? So
Mhm.
should we, because is Pinterest then better for business to consumer for products or as services as well? So would you say, because obviously people might be sitting here because we haven't even gotten to TikTok and LinkedIn yet. People might say, okay, if I can only be like one or two places, do I have to add Pinterest? So when would you say Pinterest works and when do you say Pinterest doesn't work for you or is not the best use of your time as a business
Okay,
owner or somebody who's starting
Pinterest,
as a business owner?
right. Pinterest is not a good fit for you if you do not have a lot of content on your site, or you are not planning to create content on your site. So, like say for this podcast, Pinterest would be great for your podcast. Every episode, just put out a little sound bite and, a pin that's a text pin about the topic and, whatever. You could make multiple pins for each podcast and people would be able to find your podcast via Pinterest. And then also your name would show up in a Google search because you're on Pinterest, and Pinterest pins are indexed by Google.
Ah.
So, and probably Bing as well, and DuckDuckGo and all of the search engines. So if
Mhm.
you want to be found in search, if that's part of your overall
Mhm.
strategy to get sales, then Pinterest is a good fit for you. It helps with name recognition. It's the biggest play of Pinterest for a business is the offsite SEO power, because on your website, if you have anything on your website, any keywords on your website, that's your on-site SEO. Anything else that's not on your website, that's off-site SEO. So Pinterest is an amazing off-site SEO strategy to use. And so that's what I really recommend, whether you're business to consumer or business to business. Now, I feel from an e-commerce perspective that it's a lot easier to create pins for e-commerce or for, B2C versus B2B on Pinterest.
Right.
The only exception is if you are a content creator on your website or even say LinkedIn, you know, you can then create pins based on the content that you house on your site. And then it will work for you. But if you don't have content, Pinterest is not a place to spend time.
Great. And speaking of websites, I want to go back to this really quickly because obviously Google and Bing and all the others are always looking for additional content. How often do people need to update the content on their website? Or is that why people typically may have blogs so that they can constantly refresh so Google has something else to say? Because if somebody has a website, it's basically like a bunch of landing pages and nothing ever changes. Is that good enough if they have the right SEO, or do they have to keep changing what's on their site?
I'll let B take this one first because I think we might have different answers again.
I know, I'm
I love
curious what
it.
you have to say. Yeah, this is great. So I think that if you make sure you go back and do the optimization on your website, that's going to be quote good enough. And I think that it's just next level and even better if you can create content. It's why I set out with this ridiculous goal that I probably am not going to crush this year of putting out one blog per week. It was a ridiculous goal. But I think based on my research, based on working with clients, based on my own website, I think that it's best if you can create something at the very least once a month. But I'm very curious what Crystal has to say.
Crystal,
Okay.
what do you
Well,
think?
what Crystal has to say is I believe strongly that content is the most powerful way to rank on Google. And content can be blogging, it can be, just like a post about something that is a pillar of your business on your website that you just continually add to. But content is the number one way to grow your business, period. And what is happening in the future from now until probably the next 10 or 15 years, dare I say, we could make any predictions at this
Good for
point.
you.
But Google and all the search engines, they're looking for topical authority to where they can say, hey, if someone is searching for XYZ, I can send them over to Crystal because Crystal has created this amazing web of her own on her website about X that connects to Y, that connects to Z, then connects back to X. So a lot of times in the past with search engine optimization and creating content for websites, it's been about ranking for one keyword. and ranking for one thing. One article that you write for a blog post can rank for hundreds of keywords. You want to give it one main job, one main keyword to rank for, but it can then rank for hundreds of keywords. And then you can create another article that's kind of like an auxiliary of that main topic that goes deeper into one of the related keywords that was in the article. And then you can link them together, but that's how it works. And that's how the internet and how the spiders of the internet that index all of the websites, that's how they mark your site as valid. That's how they mark your content as good, as helpful content, is the content that actually builds on a topic and builds authority around that topic, not just one blog, about, black and white photos, and then another
SEO.
blog about SEO. You know what I mean? It wants to know that if you're talking about SEO, you're talking about on-site, off-site, keywords, site maps, like everything, because that's topical authority. There's a difference. And so that's, content is the key. It's the key to creating a digital footprint that is actually going to, create a space for you in this growing digital world. And I think it's all about creating topical authority. And I'll stick my flag, right there for the next few years.
So let's go to TikTok, which everybody's on, and as of now has not yet been banned in the United States, although it is allegedly being talked about being banned in 14 states. Good luck with that. So how important is TikTok in terms of what you advise clients? And is there anything different in terms of SEO strategy, or is SEO the same no matter where you are? So any thoughts on TikTok, which is itself becoming a search engine, and especially there's a generation that basically that's where they're going to get their information. They may go onto Google, but they may go to TikTok first. So how does that change the calculus?
I'll take this one really quick first. TikTok, like you said, is a search engine. It actually started outranking Google as the number one search engine and the number one website, I believe, in 2022. So, and into 2023. So yes, I mean, that's a major shift. We've always said forever, you're going to Google something, but it really could be you're going to TikTok something. It's just not how we
TikTok
think.
made me do it. I was in Target the other day, like TikTok such and such. Like, really? Target's like TikTok is now the authority? But apparently so.
Now as seen on TV, but seen on TikTok. But I think it's important. Again, your digital footprint is just like B was talking about, saying the same things over and over again verbally. That's what it should look like across these search engines or these web or the social media sites. Whatever you are on Instagram, it builds trust with your customers if they see who you are on TikTok and that those things are the same. And then they go to your website and you're the same. And then they go to Pinterest and they recognize you. They don't see, half of what you post on any one of those sites, but together it builds a picture of your business.
B, what do you think about TikTok? What are people doing well? What are they not doing so well? And is TikTok here to stay? Because Crystal's already predicted for the 15 years, so I feel like you should be able to do the same.
I need to throw something out there. Well, TikTok is definitely where people seem to be able to grow very quickly, get noticed for who they are, what they're about, how they help people. So I think that if you are newer and you're open to TikTok, that could definitely be a place that you could see growth very fast, especially if you're sticking with the intention of, this is who I am, this is how I help people, this is what I'm here for, this is what I'm about. To Crystal's point, it totally builds trust. If you are the same person on all of these platforms, if you have the same message on all of these platforms, and it doesn't mean that you have to say the same thing the same way all of the time, but if you do, people are gonna start to recognize you for that. They're gonna start to log that in their brain. I know that if I ever it frequently happens where I'm trying to tell my boyfriend something like, oh, I saw so-and-so. And then I'm like, okay, I need to go find this video for him. Well, what am I going to do? I get to the point where either I remember enough about the person's handle, I remember enough about what they share. So I have those keywords that I'm typing into the search bar, no matter what it is. If it's on LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, whatever, that's what I'm going to do. same thing, like you were talking about the generation. I mean, even I wanted to get myself a curly haircut for the first time ever in my life. And what did I do? Instagram, curly haircut, Connecticut. I got like 4 results and I checked each one of them out because I wanted to see their product, which happens to be a service. I wanted to see what it is that they deliver. Did this person seem trustworthy? Did it seem like I would click with them and be willing to hang out with them for 60 minutes, right? That's all we're really doing on anything. Websites, social media platforms, podcasts. We're checking people out. We're looking to see if we
Right.
connect with them. We're not really at the end of the day, I'll get on my soapbox for a hot minute. We're not really at the end of the day buying the thing or buying the service. I'm buying time with Marcia. I'm buying Crystal's expertise. That's what we're doing. So don't let all of
Yes.
this SEO stuff, all of this social media stuff, all of this website stuff trip you up, because at the end of the day, you need to show up as who you are, knowing what you know, helping people how you help them, period, the end.
Mhm.
So a lot of people that are listening initially, because it's gonna be my first episodes, are my LinkedIn buddies, where they're not usually who they are, right? Or they are, this is my professional persona. And, and I talked a couple of days ago, like, I remember the first time that I pointed out my chakra. I don't know if you guys can see them. You probably can't see them. My chakra tattoos and my lotus tattoo on LinkedIn. It was like a thing. It was like, I can't believe you put that there. But then that's when I started to be who I really was. And then, posting about ayahuasca ceremonies, so like, whatever, I've got a job, but hopefully I won't lose it, but I can find another job. I can go back and sell handbags at Macy's. I've done that before, right? So, but so few lawyers I know are willing to be who they really are on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is a different animal. But for business to business, right, it might be the place to be. And I know you said you're just going to get onto it, but where do you see LinkedIn, and how do you advise people to play on LinkedIn if you do?
Do you want to go or you want me to go? Because I
Either.
have thoughts.
Yeah, why don't you go first?
Okay. I love LinkedIn. It's another one. That one's like a sneaky one because I've noticed actually just in the last couple of weeks, I'm noticing people going to Facebook and trying to apply the same strategies on Facebook that they have on LinkedIn. They're different. They're different platforms. You can't do that. LinkedIn has evolved. And to your point, I think that it's great to see people showing up as their authentic selves, being who they are, sharing their interests. I think that's really cool. LinkedIn used to be this buttoned up, like really kind of stiff social media platform, and it wasn't even thought of as a social media platform. Now, I have a client and a friend, Selena Young. She was on our show, and she has just this like passion for the platform. And that's largely why I'm on there. I'm like, all right, Selena's on here. She can do this. Like, this is great. Let's go over here and crush this. You can find a lot of your peers, you can find a lot of your clients on there. So it's a great network to go on and to collaborate. I freaking hate the cold pitches, so I will never like the cold pitches. That's one thing that drives me absolutely
Yeah.
bananas about LinkedIn. But other than that, like you meet some really cool people, you get to see a new side of them, you get to,
Mhm.
just show up as who you are, knowing what you know, and that's really what you should be doing everywhere. But LinkedIn is it's a cool little platform. I'm really digging it.
Yeah, and I will tell people that who are listening, I didn't post for about a month because I had so much stuff going on. I had so many people reach out to me saying, "Where are your posts? I haven't seen them." It's like, I didn't even know you were following me because you never like anybody. Can you hit like or something? But it's not about the likes, right? It's about, you never know who's
Yeah.
watching it, and the amount of people that's like, "I've been following you," and I travel the world. I go to business conferences. I just love your posts, and sometimes it's the most woo-woo post, like, let's look at the moon, the phase of the moon, and bring in your attentions. And it's like some 75-year-old, like, crotchety partner from some law firm's like, I really like that moon post, because like it's like a secret pleasure, right? So
Mhm.
that's the point. I'm out to like democratize LinkedIn. Crystal, did you want to add anything? And then I want us to go, because I know we're coming close to the end. I want to go to a few other areas specifically about copywriting and chat GPT-4 and Jasper. And do we even need copywriters anymore? Can we just put stuff in there? So anything, Crystal, you want to add about LinkedIn before we get to the copywriting part?
Yeah, just a couple things about LinkedIn and offsite SEO. Okay, because again, we're trying to build our digital footprint. So think about this. Like if you were to type in your full name or your business name into a search bar of a search engine, what's going to show up on that page? Usually the first thing, if you have a LinkedIn profile, is going to be the LinkedIn profile. or the
Hmm.
LinkedIn page.
Absolutely.
And so that's why it's important for every business owner to be on LinkedIn, even if you're not going to be active there. You want to control your online presence. You want to control, to the extent that you can, what shows up in search results, right? So LinkedIn is a really important part of that. So I wanted to make sure that I touched on that for offsite SEO. And the other thing is, a lot of us have created content over the years that gets buried on Instagram or Facebook. The main
Hmm.
advantage of TikTok and LinkedIn right now is that as of this moment, your content still has the ability to be seen for an extended period of time. On Pinterest and YouTube, your
Hmm.
content will live and be able to be found forever, just like on a podcast platform. You know, another great
Right.
offsite SEO space. But on LinkedIn, you can have another chance to let that content breathe again, and maybe get new life
Yeah.
and make it better and demonstrate your authority on different topics. So that's why I really love LinkedIn. And again, it reinforces who you are online. A couple of weeks ago,
Hmm.
we received an email from Harvard University, and they asked us to make giant wooden letters for, an alumni celebration or something that they're having. Yeah. And it was great, but because we've worked hard to create a digital presence online, they were able to go to LinkedIn and see that we're a credible business. They were able to go to my profile
Right.
and, just take a look around there. And so that's the power of a platform like LinkedIn, because it really, supports that professionalism of your business and your company.
Great. And we won't even bother to get to YouTube because that could be a whole other show.
Yeah.
And, but let's talk about copywriting, right? You have to have something to say. And, with all the generative AI like ChatGPT for all these other different kinds of things, people are like all the knowledge workers are going to go out of business. And who needs a copywriter? Do we still need copywriters? And do you guys use generative AI? How do you use it? And how should other people be using it?
Crystal definitely uses it, so I'm going to let her talk about that because she knows the ins and outs of it. I don't. I sometimes use ChatGPT and things like that to ideate, but that's really the only
Hmm.
place that I use it. It's cool to
Hmm.
hear the different people and how they use these tools, but it's
Right.
just not my thing, and I find that it slows me down, so I don't use them very much.
Interesting.
With copywriting,
Crystal. Oh, sorry, please.
yes, with copywriting, we're not going anywhere because even when you, and I'm sure Crystal will touch on this, but even when you use something like Jasper or ChatGPT to create copy, you still, as a human, need to go back and check it. You need to go back and check your work because I've seen, this is a rock that gets in my shoe about this thing. I have seen clients or companies, agencies, give my clients, people who came to me because they didn't like what they saw from these other companies, they've just typed something in, taken whatever it was that it was generated and given it to the client. Didn't even bother to check for like super basic grammatical errors, and it irritates me.
Mm-hmm.
So there's humans aren't going anywhere, and like there's definitely more that Crystal's gonna say, but yeah.
Crystal, you do use it, and Jasper and all the other ones. And so tell us about why and how should business owners use it? How should they use it? And other than things like there's also this concept of hallucinations where sometimes the generative AI will just come up with something that doesn't exist. And it sounds completely credible. Like, oh, I'm going to cite this amazing source that I didn't know about. And the thing just made it up. So that's dangerous. I hope people pay attention to that. So
Yeah.
Brittany's like another reason I'm not going to use it. But Crystal, why should people use it and when should they use it?
Wow, I'm going to make a t-shirt that says I have AI hallucinations, because that is hilarious. I think that is one of the funniest things I've ever heard, even though I've experienced it and I've seen it. It's like, where did you even come up with that? Like, that's
Mm-hmm.
not real. And so I think one really important thing is, do not write about things that you know nothing about. And if you do write about things that you know nothing about, then go double check your sources. I think you should double check everything anyway, but especially if you're not familiar with the subject matter. It's really easy when you are, a subject matter expert, or you're, all up in that topic. You can recognize, whoa, that's not correct. But I think a lot of times people just assume that it's correct, and you don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, for business owners, you talk about, democratizing LinkedIn, I
Mm-hmm.
believe that generative AI is democratizing business. It has the power to democratize education. I used to be a special
Mm-hmm.
education, physical education teacher. And one of the things that I thought about when I saw ChatGPT come out, I thought, first of all, for teachers, and I'm sure even attorneys and other people can listen to this and apply it in their own way. But it actually helps you to, let's say you want to create a lesson plan that diversifies the lesson plan for your different levels of learners. Because for me, even as a middle school teacher, it was always difficult for me to differentiate for my highest level learners. I could teach to the middle and I could try to bring the lower ones up. But my high learners, I had a difficult time challenging them. But what you can do is you can use chat gpt to create those things, so that then you can focus on the real innovation and the real creativity. You can be better at
Mm-hmm.
what you do, because now you have this built-in assistant to help you with some of those menial tasks that you just don't enjoy as much, or you don't have the brain capacity to handle all of the time. And so I love that for business, because even as a business owner, for e-commerce, you handle a bunch of different things. You're supposed to have a home page. You're supposed to have multiple product pages that could end up being in the hundreds or thousands of product pages, which you then need copy for. You need at least 300
Right.
words per page. Who does that? Where's the training on this?
300 words a page.
Yes, that's at least, because that's what thin content is. If you have a page that doesn't have at least 300 words on it, it will be flagged potentially as thin content. So if I have 100 product pages, not even including my blog or my homepage or my contact page or any other page that's necessary for my website, 100 product pages that need images, meta titles, image alt text, product descriptions, titles, meta descriptions, all of these different things. I mean, who can do that? But enter in generative AI, and guess what? Now every person who wants to have a business can compete with the businesses that have
Mm.
multiple employees. And so it's really how you launch that AI out into the world with your business. And again, just like I say, every page should have a keyword that has a job to do. I believe that, social media is the same way. I believe that AI is the same way. Give them a job in your business and tell them what you'd like them to do. And I am so passionate about AI, because I think for so many years students have struggled, and there's now some benefits to AI for students. Business owners who lack, the ability to write well, or who don't know marketing frameworks like problem, agitate, solution. That's how you get people's attention and bring them in. Or maybe an AIDA, which is
Right.
an AIDA, attention, interest, desire, action. Nobody teaches an entrepreneur how to write to get sales. And not everybody can
Right.
afford a professional copywriter. So these tools are actually
But if
education
they
in
can,
action. Oh, yeah.
but if
Definitely go
they
to B.
can, they should go to
Yes.
Brittany Herzberg, and we're going to put your links in the show notes. So I'm going to close with this question. We met on Clubhouse as part of our morning routine doing our walks. I'm not on Clubhouse that much anymore, almost never. I haven't been there in months. But do you have a morning or an evening routine that no matter what, no matter how tired you are still going to do it because it helps you get through your day? And by the way, don't feel pressure. You might be like, nope, I just barely brush my teeth and go to bed. And I get up and I start working. I don't want you to feel pressure to have of course, I get up and I go to the sunrise. So, but is there something that you do? Because I think business owners, entrepreneurs really need to have something that just kind of gets them going, especially when they're just feel like they're just out of gas. So any thoughts or any recommendations that you guys have?
I don't have a morning routine so much anymore, other than just I do consistently wake up at the same time. I used to try to be like, I'm going to do these three things every single morning. And I got really defeated every single morning because I would be pulled in this direction or that direction. My evening routine stays the same. I am such a homebody. I am not someone who really even wants to go out for dinner. Like, I'll go out for lunch, but I really don't want to go out for dinner.
Right.
And in the evening, what I do is like, I'm saying we, because my boyfriend and I, Daniel and I, will have dinner. we'll have just some like wind down time. Maybe I'll be reading a book, maybe we'll be doing something together, maybe we'll watch TV, and then we have like some other little snack, like dessert thing. I have tea. Usually I'll have popcorn, and then we're like in bed by 9. We are so like
nothing wrong with that.
But it's
There's
great. It's nice to ground and wind down because my nervous system needs that.
Excellent. And Crystal, what about you? Any
Well,
specific morning or evening routine that might inspire somebody else?
Well, I want to say I am that person that you first described that is, wow, when's the last time I took a shower? Because I roll out of bed and go to work typically. But I did want to share an epiphany that I just had today, because I thought to myself, I was like, when you work for yourself, don't give your best hours completely away to other people. Keep some of that time for you. And so that's something that I'm going to be trying to, incorporate more, because, our health is the only thing.
That needs to be on a t-shirt. That needs to be on a collage and wood thing.
Yes. So
when you work for yourself, you give the best hours of your day to somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So my perfect day, I would get
that
up,
is awesome.
have coffee.
So we have
yoga.
gone, of course, I said this will be a 30-minute interview. In your perfect day.
Oh, I'm so sorry. We must be on
but
a
your
lag
actual
here.
day might be a little bit different.
Yeah. My perfect day routine would be.
We're in a lag. There's a little bit of a lag. Yeah.
Okay. It would be to have wake up, have coffee, do yoga, work out, take a shower, get to work. That's it.
And that's great. Mm-hmm. So you guys have been super helpful. I thought this was going to be a 30-minute interview. I don't know why I thought that. But how can people work with you if they would like to work with you? If they say, first of all, let's give them the name again of your podcast. And then if they want to work with you individually as a group, how do they do that? We'll link all of this in the show notes for the people who are driving, though, or the people who are folding laundry. How do they get in touch with you? Brittany, we'll go with you first.
Okay, so you can absolutely find me on my website, which is BrittanyHerzberg.com. And of course, on Instagram, I'm Brittany_Herzberg. Do not even try to type that. Just click the link down below. Things that I help people with: SEO audits, SEO packets, which is creating a strategy for your main website pages. I have power hours if there's some copy that you just want to get an expert's eyes on. And I also am most known for helping people write case studies. So yeah, come find me. Be friends.
Awesome. And of course, you guys need to listen to their podcast. It's entertaining. It's interesting. And every single time I listen, I can't even listen in the car, which is bothers me because I got to write this down. And I know you do summaries, but so I have a whole list of things I have written down that I haven't done yet, but I'm going to do them. Crystal, how do people work with you?
Well, if you are looking for any sort of custom sign, you can always visit us at collageandwood.com. And if you are looking for help with SEO or content or 1,000 other things that you have to do for your business, as you dive into it, you'll think, oh my gosh, digital marketing is a black hole. I have a suite of content audits or different types of audits where I help Shopify owners and other website owners or business owners with, whatever you need help with. So if it's getting started with SEO, if it's developing a content strategy, if it's working with Pinterest, we will work one-on-one together in a VIP day scenario and we'll hash it out together. I'm a teacher at heart. And so I love sharing what I know and, seeing other people not only learn, but then be able to take that learning with them and apply it, whether I'm there or not. So come by.
Awesome. And thank you so much, Brittany and Crystal. This may be a 2-part episode. I may break it in half. But you guys have been awesome. We've gone through so much. When do you get a website? What needs to be on a website? What SEO is? How do you rank on Google or Bing? Why copywriting is so important? How to think about the different platforms. Just so much really actionable tips that people can take away right away. So thanks everybody for listening. Thanks again, Brittany and Crystal, for being here. See you guys in the next episode. Take care. Thanks so much for joining us. Stay tuned for the next episode. If you like what you heard, subscribe and share it with others.